Hey guys, and welcome to or back to the Pause and Pursuit podcast with your host, Summer Clark. How are we all doing? Today I'm going to be discussing aging in agility dogs. This was a topic that I have been requested to talk about, so I thought that it would be a good idea for me to do that today. I'm actually recording in my living room at the moment, so if you hear any dog-related noises, it's probably Arrow. He's currently sat at my feet on the sofa. I am laid down, don't judge. What's new? But yeah, so I'll be discussing how our agility dogs age, what we need to adapt to suit their changing needs, and then how we know when it's time for them to slow down in the agility field, or so to speak. I think this is a topic that we sometimes forget needs to be thought about. Unfortunately, I think we're all a little bit sort of inclined to think our dogs are invincible. We kind of don't think about this. And they just grow up so fast, don't they? Like 1 minute they're a puppy and the next minute, like Arrow, they're coming up to 5 years old, which is terrifying. But yeah, agility is extremely strenuous on our dogs' joints and just bodies in general. And, we've got to understand that. We can't just think, oh yeah, they'll be able to do agility forever. It is a lot. And just like humans, their bodies do change with age. So we just have to take that into consideration and obviously always do what is best for them. But before we get into the meat of the episode, I'll go through my weekly recap. So this weekend, or the weekend just gone, I went to Gillingham on Saturday. Now, when I entered this show, it had Crufts ABC, medium Crufts ABC heat, and that's why I entered it. It is 4 hours away from my house, but I was staying at Rory, so it was okay. It was only an hour and a half. So that's why I did it. I usually wouldn't do it when it's that far away, but that worked out nicely. I was already in Oxford for the training day that me and Rory did on Sunday, but I'll come on to that in a few minutes. So we went to Gillingham, and I was leading the ABC leaderboard. So I thought, well, there's no way that I'm going to go from 1st to 16th because it's the top 15 that qualify for the semis. And I just thought, that's not going to happen, is it? Like, it's simply not going to happen. I'm not going to go down that much because there's only Gillingham and Letchworth left. There's no way with 2 heats I'll go down 16th. So I wasn't worried about it. And obviously I'm still using all of his agilities to train the seesaw, and I'm making sure that he gets his criteria in every run, no matter what, except for Champ. And obviously I've got the Olympia semi-finals, not this weekend, but the next. So there are a few things that I'll still allow him to get away with. But yeah, mainly I'm just making him do the criteria in all of his classes. So knowing that I didn't need the points at Gillingham for ABC, I did the same thing. I just thought of it as a normal class. He won his jumping, and I actually, when I was walking the course, I had 2 options: a kind of safe-ish weave entry that was probably a bit less fast and didn't test his skills, or a quite difficult weave entry. That is something that I don't usually do in competition. So guess what I did? I did the one that I don't usually do in competition, and he absolutely smashed it without even a second thought. So I was super pleased with that run, and he did win it. And then the rest of our runs were agilities, and we used all of them for the seesaw. One run was pure. The first run, he actually did go clear, but we spent 7 seconds on the seesaw. Again, just getting him into that position at the end, because he was stopping short. The next agility, it was 1 seesaw, and usually when the seesaws are at the start of the course, he's even slower on it because he hasn't got any momentum up yet. So I kind of over pushed his seesaw, but I don't regret it. I just went, yeah, see, and I said target a bit later, and he didn't fly it, but he did get 5 on it. He didn't stop. It was naughty. So I put him back over that, and then he had a lovely clear after that, but obviously an E because I'd already put him back around the first jump and onto the seesaw. But good training, very good training. And then the last run, he did the first la la la, so threadle wrap off the dog walk, lovely. And then the second threadle wrap, which was, to be fair, it was quite far away from me, he had to do it. And he did think about it, but he just ended up taking the face out of the jump. But like I said, I was handling him to push him. I was really pushing him. you know, because that's how I need to run him from now on, and I am doing, and I'm really proud of how I'm handling courses, and, you know, taking more risking the normal classes, because, you know, he's got his diamond warrant now as well, so, you know, he's got enough points for that. Literally, there is no benefit to us winning standard classes now at this stage, so I've been having a lot of fun with that mindset, with that approach. It's definitely how I'm going to be for the foreseeable. As you all know, I've yapped about it in many episodes previously. But yeah, so he got that wrong. So we redid the little section and he nailed it. And then the seesaw was at the end and he did stop, but then he self-released. So I popped him back on the end. And that was our day at Gillingham. So that was a fun time. Then on Sunday, me and Rory had our training day. It's only the second training day I've actually ran. So I don't get nervous to train, but obviously it's still quite new for me. So, you know, it takes a bit more thought, a bit more thinking, you know, than I hope it will once I train regularly, which is going well, by the way. I think I've sorted myself out with a venue now, so I'm going to start advertising classes in Lincoln within the next week or so, hopefully. So if you are interested if you're near Lincoln or not, because I know a lot of people do travel for their weekly classes, but if you are interested in regular group classes with me in Lincoln, or one-to-ones occasionally, or the occasional training day, do please get in touch and register your interest. I am gathering, I've got a notes page gathering interest I've had so far, which has been quite a lot, actually. I'm really happy with that. So thank you all of you who have got in touch saying that you're interested. I'm super excited to get started. So do let me know if you're interested in training with me in any capacity. And as well, I'm obviously still going to other people's venues for training days, and obviously accepting judging appointments and all the things. So if you want me to do anything for you, or you want to come to me, then please do get in touch. My diary is very much open, and I'm nice and flexible and affordable as well, which I like to be, especially this early on in my sort of training journey. I went off on a bit of a tangent there, didn't I? But anyway, yes, that was it, Rory's training day. So no, it was really good fun. We ended up doing, we did 1 to 2 in pre-comp group, and then a 3 to 5 group. And obviously our students had time with each trainer, and we got some really good feedback. Everyone enjoyed it and wants us to do more. So me and Rory will definitely be doing more training days in the future in Oxford. So if you missed this one and you want to come on one in the future, then again, register your interest. But I'll post everything that I'm up to and I'm planning, obviously, on all of the social media. So follow me on Pause in Pursuit, mainly Instagram, and Facebook is Summer Clark. Obviously, most of you already follow and are friends with me on all of those things. But yeah, make sure you're following it so you don't miss anything like that. But no, had a really good, really enjoyable training day. Just solidifying the fact that I do love teaching. Like it's kind of, I just love it because it's what I've always wanted to do. And I've changed my mind many times over, you know, the course of my teens, you know, as you do as a teenager, trying to figure out your life and stuff. But yeah, I'm back to where I was in the very start, you know, as a little girl wanting to be a dog trainer. So yeah, teaching agility is definitely my calling, if you want to call it that. And I just love it so much. It's so satisfying and rewarding, and I can't wait to get doing it more. So that's all positive there. And that was my weekly recap, really. Week recap, really. I usually, weekend recap, sorry. I usually get up to a lot more on the weekend than in the week. But anyway, so let's get into our topic then. So aging in our agility dogs. And again, just before we begin with all my points, you know, please do remember that it is totally dog dependent, and some dogs show signs of aging sooner than others. So a good example of this is Ethel, for example. I retired her at 8 because she was physically, you know, visually, physically uncomfortable doing agility. A lot of dogs, and I'm hoping Arrow will probably be one of these dogs, they don't peak till they're maybe 7 or 8 or even 9 and continue till they're like 10, 11, 12. But that wasn't the case for Ethel, and that's just a good example of it is dog dependent. There isn't a set age where you can say, right, this is when my dog's going to retire, this is when my dog's going to start aging. You don't know that until it happens, and it's so dog dependent. So you just have to see and go with it and make decisions as, things progress. So aging is dependent on several factors, such as fitness. So how fit you keep your dog throughout its life. Not all of these, because like I said, I kept Ethel really fit throughout her life and she still retired at 8. But, the fitter you keep your dog throughout its life, the more likely it is to age slower. Physical build. Now, I think this was quite a big one with Ethel. She just wasn't really built for it. She was quite square and boxy. She wasn't a great build for it, whereas Arrow, for example, is physically perfect for agility. His build and athleticism is perfect for it. So that's just one of those things. Then obviously breed. Obviously Border Terriers aren't built as well for agility, or again, I'm talking in the majorities here, as say Spaniels like Arrow. So breed definitely does have an impact on that as well. Size as well, and more than size, I would say probably more like proportion, again going back to that physical build, but size in the sense of, and this is really sad, but larger dogs do tend to have smaller lifespans than little dogs, and again, it's not a fact, it's just a generalization. So obviously you're probably going to see your large dogs aging slightly sooner than your small dogs. And then finally, and this might seem surprising, but mentality of your dog as well. Mentality does play quite a large role in, physicality as well. As we know, within humans as well, this happens, when humans are ill or fighting a disease or an illness or something. The stronger they are feeling mentally, the better they will recover physically as well. And our thoughts and everything going on in our head really does affect our bodies. Things like stress will, give us aches and pains, limit our recovery physically from physical strain and exercise and stuff like that. So the mentality of the dog could also be a consideration. If you've got a dog that loves agility so much and has that kind of outlook on life, if you say, you may find that they show signs of aging a bit slower than, say, a dog that is more not chill, but sort of doesn't enjoy agility as much, isn't as interested, if that makes sense. Again, this isn't a rule. Like I said, Ethel did love agility, and she still retired at 8, but you get what I mean. I still think she is more of a placid, kind of quote-unquote lazier dog. Like these days, she just spends all of her time sleeping. She's always rather have done that than doing exercise. She doesn't even love walking. Do you get what I mean? So I do think that does have a part to play. Like I said, nothing of that is a rule, but all of those things could be a factor of why some dogs show signs of aging sooner than others. And then it is entirely up to the handler whether they make changes to the setup of their training courses for their aging dog and how long they keep competing their dog at their grade for. So, if you've got an old dog that's never got out of grade 3, for example, and still competes in 1 to 3 courses, those courses are going to have less of a strain on the dog's body because they're usually straighter, less turning, stuff like that. But if you've got an aging dog, so the grade 3 aging dog may be able to keep competing at that level for longer because of those easier courses that are less strenuous on the body. But if you've got an aging dog that's in grade 7 and doing champ courses, those courses are more strenuous on the body. So that may mean you may choose to make the decision to stop competing your dog sooner because the courses that you have to enter and run with that dog are more strenuous. So in that way, it's dog dependent and grade dependent. What grade your dog is at what age, etc. And every dog is different. Every journey is different there. But what a lot of people do, and I never did this with Ethel, but a lot of people swap from standard classes to any size or veteran classes, which decreases the difficulty of the course again. So if you're aging dog is in grade 7, for example, and you switch them to any size or veteran classes, you're going to get courses that are more like the low grade courses, which are less strenuous. And then you can also choose what height your dog jumps. So say if you've got a large border collie that's aging, then you can choose to jump them at medium, small or micro, which is obviously way less strenuous on the body. You usually see big collies and stuff running at micro on any size, and they're having a great time. That they're not landing on their joints, and it's not strenuous, but they still get to run agility. And a lot of dogs do love agility, and it's a big part of their life. And to just stop it, may decrease their quality of life. So in that sense, they can still come to a show and have 1 or 2 runs and still get their agility fix and still do what they love. Without putting that unnecessary stress on their aging body. Again, with Ethel, she was not fussed about stopping agility at all. So I didn't feel the need to do that with her. But again, there are those options there, which I think is great, so that you can still keep doing agility with your aging dog if you see fit. So some signs that you may need to slow down or retire your dog include obviously the visual signs of discomfort, such as measuring, which is what Ethel was doing. And if you don't know what measuring is, it's kind of over collecting before they jump, doing some tiny little strides and then heaving themselves over the jump instead of just gracefully taking the jump as standard, if that makes sense. An abnormal or uneven gait, so just not moving normally. Like, it's obvious to the eye if their gait is off. This could come with, obvious lameness on, one limb specifically. Again, you can take your dog to physio if you're unsure, and they will do a gait analysis to see what's up with your dog's gait and what is probably causing that, whether it's a specific limb, their back, their hips, their shoulders. Do you get what I mean? You should probably see a professional if you do notice that. Well, definitely see a professional. But you should be able to notice those things yourself first while you're doing agility or just in normal life, walking, etc. Lameness is just obvious and happens in, dogs of any age. Any of these things can happen to dogs of any age, but they are, I'd say, more common in aging dogs. And then obviously poor recovery post-agility. So if you'll notice you're doing agility with your dog and then they are just not recovering, they're stiff for days after, they look uncomfortable for days after when they're just at home, that can't be nice for them. So if these things don't improve with aids such as proper warm-ups and cool-downs, so if you're warming your dog up and cooling them down before and after agility properly, if you're taking them to regular physio, and they're getting treated regularly in that sense with massage and stuff. And then if you're giving them plenty of rest periods in between strain and they're still showing those signs, then that's probably a sign that your dog needs to start slowing down and potentially retire or, like I said, move to any size classes, etc. So really, you've just got to think, is this impacting my dog's quality of life for the worse? And if it is, and it isn't manageable or fixable, then you really need to think about, your priorities, which should be your dog's comfort in everyday life over obviously doing agility. But I'm sure that goes without saying for my listeners especially. But steps you can take to slow down the aging process and keep your dog as comfortable as possible for as long as possible include giving them regular physio by a professional, which I think is very much underrated. I think dogs of any age should be getting some form of semi-regular or regular physio treatment. And even if it's just a checkup and a once-over, just making sure that they are sound. Again, doing this throughout your dog's life will stop sort of little niggles or little injuries building up that go unnoticed that could, have a real impact down the line when your dog is aging. So it just nips those things in the bud and keeps your dog fitter for longer, basically. Obviously warming them up and cooling them down properly before and after runs. Again, this goes for every dog of every age. This should always be done, but it is especially important in aging dogs, because they're probably going to be a bit stiffer than, say, a younger dog. and you just want to keep their muscles supple, and you don't want to predispose them to any tears or strains or injuries, because, you know, your muscles and joints do deteriorate with age, so that puts them, you know, it makes them more likely to get injuries than, say, a younger dog. So that's especially important to make sure. Like I said, prevention is way better than cure in everything in life. Then using equipment such as thermal coats to keep their muscles warm, especially during the winter. So when it's cold, between runs and on walks and stuff, if their muscles are kept warm with a good quality coat, then they are less likely, again, to tear a muscle or get injured, and they're just going to be more comfortable, aren't they? They're not going to get aches and pains, etc. And then maintaining their fitness outside of agility through daily walks. That's obvious. Obviously, walks that suit their needs and their requirements and their level of fitness. So some dogs may be aging to the point where they're just comfortable with some lead walks and that keeps their fitness up. Others may be perfectly fine to continue with off-lead runs, etc. Again, only you know what is suitable for your own dog. And then strength and conditioning exercises. Again, my advice is to get these off of your physio. So if you take your dog to physio, your physio will prescribe your personal dog with their own individual exercises that are sort of tailored to their strengths and weaknesses, instead of you just doing some random strength exercises that, you know, you don't know if your dog even needs them. You don't know if that's benefiting your dog's situation personally, or, you know, you just don't want to risk doing anything that could make your dog's condition, condition not as in like issue, but condition as in just the condition of their body due to aging. You don't want to make that worse by doing anything. So the best thing to do is go to a professional and get that sorted out so you know you're doing the right thing. And then finally, giving them plenty of time to rest and recover their bodies between periods of physical strain. So they need that downtime just like us. Not only is this good for their physical health and longevity, but also for their mental health and longevity, and, you know, making sure that they don't get burned out of, agility burnout, as us as handlers can get as well. Believe it or not, dogs can also get that if you overdo it. So making sure they get time to rest and recover and just chill at home. Plenty in between doing agility. You don't want to be overtraining. That's really important. Again, you don't want to be overtraining dogs of any age, but it's especially important in dogs that are aging. So, to round off then, this is a slightly shorter episode, but you know your dog and what their normal looks like the best. Therefore, it is usually pretty clear to you when your dog is showing signs of aging and when you feel it is the right time to slow down or retire them. Like with Ethel, I knew when it was time to retire her. I remember her last, her pre-retirement run, she was just super slow. She was measuring and I thought, yeah, it's time for her to just chill out, live the life of a retired gal, and honestly, it's the best decision because she's now happily enjoying retirement. She still comes to shows with us and wanders round, and she couldn't care less that she doesn't do agility anymore. Like I said, she's happy. She mainly did agility for the baby bell at the end of it. Anyway, she did enjoy it, don't get me wrong, but I'm sure she loved the cheese a little bit more. She was quite stubborn, bless her. But yeah, retiring your agility dog does not mean you're taking something fun out of their life. It just means that you are essentially giving them a better chance of living the rest of their days pain-free and comfortably, basically. And, fill their life with all the other things that they enjoy, such as, walking, being a pub dog, going to cafes, chilling out, going on drives, just all the things that you do outside of agility anyway. They can still live such a good quality of life, and it's probably going to be better than if you made them, continue to do agility, because it's unnecessary. You don't need to continue doing agility for as long as possible. That's not... it shouldn't be, you shouldn't try and eke as much agility out of them as possible if they are showing signs that they need to slow down or retire. So yeah, you in your gut, you have to trust your gut. You can watch your dog, most of us get videos of our dogs running, don't we? So we watch our runs back, and just when you're running them, you can tell my dog doesn't feel quite the same as they used to. So you need to trust your gut, and always, this should go without saying, but put your dog's health and quality of life way before agility. Okay, so I know it's hard. And again, people in agility usually tend to get puppies when their dogs are a certain age, kind of preempting the fact that their current agility dog will probably start to slow down or be coming up to retirement in maybe, 3, 4, 5 years, whenever. Again, everyone's a bit different with this. I like to leave bigger gaps between puppies. Some people only leave a few years. But yeah. You know when you should retire your dog and what needs to be done. But yeah, I think that's everything. And if you have any further questions about this topic, do message me or get in touch, and keep sending in your requests for other solo topic ideas, as well as guests that you'd like on. I've had some really cool guest suggestions by you guys lately, so thank you very much for that. I'm excited to bring you some more of them. I've got one that's a pretty much definite coming up in the next few weeks, so look out for that. And then 2 more ideas in my head that are yet to be fully scheduled, but cool things to look forward to on the pod. This weekend, what am I doing this weekend? So on Friday, I'm judging at... What am I judging at? I'm judging at Kalooki on Friday. So Friday the 6th, I'll be judging at Kalooki. So I'm excited to see some of you there. If any of you are running my courses, then I really hope you do enjoy them. And then what am I doing at the weekend? Sunday, I'm competing at North Derbyshire. So I've got the Champ on the Saturday, which is super exciting. If any of you see me there and I'm about to run Champ, or it's before Champ has happened, remind me not to put the pressure on the bloody ticket, because I can't do that anymore. We can't be doing that anymore, okay? So, yeah, I will hopefully see you guys at some point over Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Big weekend of agility. I think I have to get up at 4:30 on Friday morning to judge. But I'm so excited. I'm looking forward to seeing the dogs run over my courses. I'm really happy with my courses and excited to get them onto the ground. So that is what's coming up for me in the next week, as well as just the usual. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great week. If you're feeling generous, please do leave the podcast a rating or review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. That would mean the absolute world to me. Follow me on all the socials at Paws in Pursuit and Summer Clark. You can find me on pretty much everything, but Instagram is my main forte. And everything I post on Instagram pretty much gets copied and pasted over to Facebook. So yeah, make sure you're following me over there. And I believe that is it. So have a great week, guys, and I will speak to you all next Wednesday. Bye, guys.